people, and yet they're well contained and they're taking it for what it is. We're having fun. We're doing something that we didn't expect to do. As a matter of fact, I even listened to one of the podcasts by some former members here who think they're hot stuff, and their opening lasted 6 minutes. It was 6 minutes until they mentioned the player. Between the music and how was your weekend? 6 minutes until they finally got into the podcast. I mean, come on. I mean, I may at times have the worst podcast in the world, but I'm not stupid enough to think that that people are going to listen when you spend the first 6 minutes talking about your weekend and listening to music. The music was good, and the worst part of it was that the 6 minutes of intro was the best thing. All right? Yeah, the producer did know it was me, even though it was actually one of my former producers. He laughed. He was happy I called, and it wasn't his idea that they wouldn't take it. He put me on hold, and he came back and says, "You won't believe it, Lenny." But anyway, enough of that. There's no timetable, by the way, for Ender Inciarte to come back, and his first name Ender may be accurate. So maybe ending his time with the Atlanta Braves. He was placed on the DL, about May 15th, and he continues to have discomfort. So this is not something that they're just holding him back. And of course, Dallas Keuchel, that's right, is going to make his debut in Atlanta. He's got one more minor league start. He allowed one hit. He recorded 9 strikeouts. He needed 77 pitches to complete 7 scoreless innings. Of course, it was Class A Rome because, they had some bad weather in Atlanta. So his next start will be at AAA. He'll be pitching at Syracuse this weekend, and it should be pretty good for Dallas Keuchel, who did pitch 7 simulated games through over 100 pitches, so he'll be ready to go. And $13 million contract for the rest of the season, okay? That's for Dallas Keuchel. And the Braves had a payroll of $130 million at the end of last season. The signing of Keuchel raised the Braves player payroll to where it was at the end of last year. The payroll, which was $114 million at the start of the season, has climbed to $129 million with the addition of Keuchel, and they had a payroll of $130 at the end of last year. So, look, it's pretty good. Before the Braves signed Keuchel, the Fangraphs projection gave them a 39% chance to win the East, compared to a 28% chance for the Phillies. Now, the Braves lost Keuchel's addition boosted the Braves' odds of winning the division by 5%, according to Fangraphs. And the overall playoff odds for the Braves increased from 57 to 63. So, 57.9 or something like that. So there you go. And Keuchel could make, if he's on, he's a huge difference. Fultonowicz and Gausman battling for a spot. Of course, Fried is in there. Soroka. I got 2 youngsters in there, too. Fried and Soroka to go along with Julio Duran. One of Gausman and Fultonowicz, one of those guys. And, of course, the other one, it would be Dallas Keuchel. If Craig Kimbrell is ready for the Major League Baseball roster 2 weeks from today, which is about when he should be back, he'll make his debut, all right, against the Braves, his original team in Wrigley, which begins June 24th. So the Cubs open up a 7-game trip out west, and Yu Darvish spit up a 4-run lead as soon as he got it. They could blame the bullpen too. The Cubs lost for the 4th consecutive time on the road. It was their 3rd 1-run loss in that stretch. It dropped them a half game behind the idle Brewers in the National League Central, dampened much of the good feeling that they had about signing Kimbrell. And David Bote and Kyle Schwarber and Anthony Rizzo. Bote is killing me, man. They all homered in that 4-run 3rd inning for the 4-0 lead. And Darvish pitched impressive. He pitched scoreless baseball for 5 of his 6 innings. The 3rd inning gave up 4 quick runs, on a pair of two-run homers, Charlie Blackmon and Nolan Arenado. So Darvish continues to struggle. There's a player in Cincinnati that I want you to pay attention to because he could be something, a player to draft for next year. Now, I know it's a little premature, but he's definitely somebody to watch. Good morning to Shaman, who's in the chat room. Good morning to that guy who hope Andrew got in touch with you last night, okay? Beckert, Malpal, thank you all for being here, okay? The player on Cincinnati who you got to watch, who I think is going to be a player, and I'll tell you why. Amir Garrett, okay? His slider has just become one of the best pitches in Major League Baseball. The average speed on that slider was about 79 miles per hour in 2017. Last year he got it up to about 83 plus and 85 this year. And he says very clearly, he makes it very clear, he hasn't done anything different. He's throwing the ball the same way. So his slider doesn't really move like a typical slider. It doesn't spin as much as others. But, hitters do have to be aware of his 95-mile-an-hour fastballs because of the slider, okay? And 56% have swung and missed his slider this season, up from 42% in 2017. All right? Luis, now if you compare that to Luis Castillo's changeup, which, well documented, one of the best in baseball, he's got a 50% swing and miss rate when batters swing at it. Now, and again, Garrett, 56%, almost 57, I'm rounding it off, when people swing at a slider. So, and when a slider is the last pitch of an at-bat, hitters have an .074 batting average. They're 4 for 54, 35 strikeouts. His slider is virtually untouchable. So it all depends now in what spot they put him in. And I will tell you that it's a good chance that if Iglesias gets traded, Amir Garrett becomes the guy to get. And I am going to pick up Amir Garrett if I can in both labor and tout wars. Okay? Hopefully he becomes the closer. It might be Tito Luna. I don't know. Maybe Phil Chaplin. Good morning, guys. But I think it could very. And good morning to Brooks. Another good day coming up, Brooksy. You just keep showing up in the chat room at 20 after 9. That seems to be good luck, and it's going to be great. That's what I'm very superstitious. This weekend, by the way, on Sirius, we're going to talk about superstitions, and that should be good. What superstitions do you have when you're watching your fantasy players on TV or listening on the radio? Or even, do you have a superstition when you wake up in the morning and you go look at your stats? Is there a certain order? Let's say you're in 3 leagues. Does it make a difference which league you look at first? That's crazy. Believe me when I tell you, I have if things are going good, I look at my teams in the same order. But when things are not going good, I change the order around. And I think I'm stupid enough to think that actually could make a difference, right? So what superstitions do you have, okay? When you are watching your fantasy baseball players or looking at your teams and your stats, okay? Yep, that's right. Easy Kill had a Pinto that maxed out at 62, downhill. As far as Milwaukee is concerned, I didn't think Christian Yelich would have as good of a year as he's having this year. He's had last year. But he's topping all the numbers from a year ago. His home road splits, however, are very different. If you take a look at his league-leading 24 home runs, only 5 have come on the road, where he's hitting .259, and his home line is .438. Last season, 31 of Yelich's 63% have come on the first or second pitch of the at-bat. So it's really changed a lot this year. And Mike Moustakas is tied for third in the majors with 20 home runs. In his last 15 games, he's hitting 354, 9 homers, 21 runs, and 14 RBIs. One of the players that the Dodgers are definitely the Dodgers need a relief pitcher, and Brad Hand is the guy that they're looking at. Okay, Brad Hand is the guy. Pitches and Glitches was here before. Good morning to you, Pitches and Glitches. Okay, Hun-Shin Ryu. Holy cow, Hun-Shin Ryu. Who do you think is going to falter first, Hun-Shin Ryu or Lucas Giolito? Over his last 8 starts, Hun-Shin Ryu has allowed a total of 4 earned runs, 3 walks, and in the live ball era, that's since 1920, the only other pitcher to allow less than 5 earned runs and walks over a span of 8 regular season games was what pitcher? Who is the only other pitcher other than Hun-Shin Ryu to allow less than 5 earned runs and 5 walks over a span of 8 games? Okay? Who was it? Anybody want to take a guess? It's not of the Christy Mathewson type, okay? All right? It's not that. So take somebody who we all know and maybe have all had on our fantasy teams at one point. He's also the second starter ever to have 13 consecutive starts to begin a season allowing 2 runs or less. Now this guy you won't know, Al Benton did it in 1945. The Dodger bullpen, though, has really got significant flaws. Kelly's been the weakest link, and they signed him to that 3-year, $25 million contract. He has just looked awful. The Dodgers entering the night batting .263 with an .808 on-base percentage, on-base OPS, on-base plus slugging percentage, and both marks are now third in Major League Baseball. They'd scored 349 runs, and they're baseball's 6th most prolific offense this year. Sandy Alcantara, one of Craig Mish's boys, gave up 5 hits. 2 of them were to Ozuna Marcel, the Marlins up and coming. I mean, this kid's a good one. He's going to be a good pitcher. He just needs a good pitching coach and needs the experience. He had a streak of 21 consecutive scoreless innings pitched at home, but that was snapped in the 4th inning. I mean, telling you, 21 consecutive scoreless innings at home. Keep an eye on this kid, Alcantara, okay? Yeah, it was Greg Maddux. There you go. Phil Chaplin gets it. Greg Maddux is the guy, okay? So Caleb Smith on the 10-day injured list, got that left hip inflammation. The Marlins now going to activate Eliezer Hernandez. Eliezer, whatever his name is. I did a show on Sirius on Sunday, and I did it solo. I don't know how many of you heard the show, but it was pretty scary, I'll tell you that. I mean, I thought it was okay, but it was pretty. I made like over 40 mistakes on names. Now, it's not that I got the wrong player. I got the right player. I called the Miami Marlins the Miami Dolphins. I called Jordan Alvarez. I called him your Danny Ventura. So, I was close, you know what I mean? And everybody knew it, but I made some mistakes that in listening to it, I almost called the doctor. So, it was bad. But it was actually, I was very lucky. People caught on. And I called this kid on the Miami, Harold Ramirez. I call him Harold Reynolds. But that you can. It's just that everybody who picked up on it, and there were quite a few, all thought it was very entertaining. So I'm lucky. The more mistakes I make, the more people like it. Now, when you can do, I suppose that's the thing I'm the most proud of myself for. Because I've created a character where the more mistakes I make, the more people like it. How stupid is that, right? I'll tell you. So it takes the pressure off. Let's talk about this kid Hernandez. He's been pretty good in AAA. And of course, it's a hitter-friendly Pacific Coast League, but he posted a 1.1 ERA, 69 strikeouts,